Hey there, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Chalk Talk. I am your host, Kim Davis. Happy Tuesday. Today is July the 2nd. It is the first Tuesday in July. Let me get that fan out of your shot. All right, there we go. So, happy, I guess, Independence Day this week. It's coming up later this week on July the 4th. I hope that you are being safe as you move around or you plan to move around and all that kind of good stuff. A lot to get to on today's show. We've had an NBA draft. We've had some moves in the NBA in terms of free agencies and contracts. Some of that's happened. Um, and we're going to start talking about the Houston Astros because they are right now the hottest team in baseball, right? Think about where we were a few weeks ago. Who thought we'd be saying that? But first, as always, gotta let you hear from the people who help us do this show, my partners that we've been involved with for many, many years. And so for those of you who are new to Chalk Talk, welcome. And for those of you who've been around for a while, we are in the 11th season. In September, we will start season 12. So we have been doing this for a while. Thank you for being here and welcome for the ride. I want to talk about our good friends over at I Love Jinka. Here is a video that aired and with an influencer who's talking about her experience with Jinka. So I thought this may be a good way to tell you about I Love Jinka.
Y'all, this is Jinka and I'm obsessed. This amazing turmeric paste has been helping me relieve my body of inflammation and it smells like love. One scoop has turmeric, cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, date sugar, coconut oil, pink salt, and black pepper. All the good stuff that's going to help you reduce inflammation in your body, which is a game changer for me. I've been making golden milk every night. All you do is warm up oat milk and add 1 tablespoon of the paste. This powerful blend was born with love. A husband, he created this for his wife to manage pre-diabetes, and it can help you too. They also have capsules for on the go and soap. Since I started drinking this at night, I've been getting the best sleep ever and waking up refreshed. I add it to my protein shakes with help with my fatigue and my workouts. Y'all, this is so yummy and it tastes like a warm hug. Bonus, I also give this to the kids in their apple juice. Snag my code below and give Jinka a try.
Mina, who has over like 6 million followers on YouTube. I mean on Instagram, and that was her talking about her experience with Jinka. So I know I tell you about it. You know you can get it at HEB if you're in Texas, but you can also get it online at ilovejinka.com. You can get as she mentioned, she loves the paste. I've had it both ways and the convenience of the capsules. In fact, I've got to get I need to get more capsules because I've run out. It definitely makes a difference when I take that with my workouts. I don't have to take a leave when I've worked a little harder than perhaps my body is ready for. It's just a really good natural thing to have as a part of your daily regimen. So check it out. Our good friends over at I Love Jinka. A little bit later in the show, I'm going to let you hear from them. They did an interview on the Portia show, and I'm going to show you a clip of that. But let's start with talking about those Houston Astros. They have the best record in the majors in June at 17-8. They are now 2 games over 500, right? They're 3 games behind the Mariners for the lead in the American League West. They've been playing lights out. They're on a road trip now. They won 2 out of 3 against the Mets in New York. They're now in Toronto. They won game. It's a 4-game series in Toronto. They won game 1 on yesterday. They play again today. They have they still got some injuries, right? Justin Verlander's not back in the lineup yet. Kyle Tucker has still been out. Yeah, they've had some challenges with starting pitchers because of injuries. Hunter Brown has come around and is looking like the Hunter Brown that many people talked about or thought he might be. Of course, Ronel Blanco is throwing really well. They are getting some help, and it seems like they're getting it together. We're not quite at the All-Star break yet, but we're getting close to midseason. So it's clear the Astros are not going to be sellers when it comes to the trade deadline. They will be looking, if they do anything, to figure out how can they shore up their lineup. So the Houston Astros, They like, look, it's game on. Okay. They're 9-1 over their last 10 games. There's all kind of numbers that can basically tell you this in a nutshell. They're playing a hell of a lot better, and they're in it. We've said all along there's a lot of baseball left, but they're playing like there's a sense of urgency because you can't wait until August to try to make a push. We talked about how you've got to start winning some of these series, and that's what they're able to put together. So still 3 games back in the Mariners in the West. And, if they keep playing the way they've been playing, they could be around. It could be another postseason for the Houston Astros, right? They could be around in October, late October, perhaps. Way too early to talk about that. But one of the things that happened on this current road trip was they had one of their biggest comebacks ever, and that was against the Mets over the weekend. I am going to, what do I do with it? Let you hear from, let's see here. Let me go to this clip, which I think is, it's from after the game against the Mets. And make sure we're sharing the audio.
This is the way you guys came back today. It's the largest comeback so far this season. What were you seeing from the group?
No, everybody just battled all day long. Obviously, we didn't get off to the best start like we wanted to, but guys were battling, finding ways on base, and never stopped fighting.
That 8th inning, facing a few different relievers, not a ton of command by them either. So what are you seeing as you go out there? What's your approach in that situation?
I was just trying to square something up. I hadn't done anything all series, so it was nice to come through for the boys. But it was just a battle, kind of at bat, grinder at bat, and just try and hit a line drive somewhere.
Big hit. I don't think I've talked to you lately since y'all been hovering around 500 now. Just the way that you guys have been playing, the way you've gotten here, and then kind of what's next for this team.
No, we just got to keep stacking wins and keep doing that. And I think the guys are battling hard, and we need to finish strong into this All-Star break.
Alex, just the way you guys came back today, it's the large.
So that was Julia Morales of the Space City Network that carries the Astros games, talking with Bregman. And I wanted to play that because that was after they were down by 6 late in the game and they came back. And those are not games this Astros team was putting together earlier in the year. I had somebody ask me, Kim, does it look like this team has the swag that it's had previously? And so I would say it's games like this that tell you they are getting that back or have it back or however you want to look at it. So good news for the Houston Astros. And they are, get out to Minute Maid Park when they get back because they're playing some good baseball. And while they won't, win every single game, their goal now has to be to win series. So they're in a 4-game series against the Blue Jays in Toronto. To win this series, they've got to win 3 of those games. They won game 1 yesterday. Game 2 is today. And then, of course, 3 and 4 Wednesday and Thursday. So the Houston Rockets were involved in the NBA draft last week. So was everybody, right? They had the 3rd overall pick. There were so many questions about who are the Rockets going to take. The night before the draft, there was a trade. They really traded a lot of the picks they got from Brooklyn in the James Harden deal a few years ago, traded some of those picks back to Brooklyn. And there was all the speculation. Are they going to go on and try to make a move with the Suns? And so I'm going to let you hear from Rafael Stone, general manager. He talked about Jonathan Fagan of the Chronicle asked him the night of the draft after the first round. He asked about that. The Rockets selected Reed Shepherd with the pick they had. They had the 3rd overall pick in the draft. They didn't trade the pick. There were so many questions about what they're going to do. They're really young. One of the things about Reed Shepherd, and you heard us talk about it here on this show, is he can shoot it. And it was a need that the Rockets had for a pure shooter. And Reed Shepherd, the guard out of Kentucky, is just that. So here's Rafael Stone first talking about why they made the trade the night before.
Mostly we thought it was a good deal. I think that we were able to turn a future first round pick and a future first round swap into 2 future first round picks and 2 future first round swaps. And, you know, and I think it made sense. It diversified our kind of portfolio of picks going out. It pushed them out a little bit, which is really good for us. We're a very young team right now. And so pushing those picks out and having some draft picks a little further out, we think makes sense, both in terms of our ability to trade those picks, but also in terms of just picking them so that we don't have quite as many guys in their first, second, and third year at the same time. And we just thought it was great value. So
that's why they made the trade. Okay. So what they're going to do with it, like he said, he told you why they made it. Who knows if they make some deal? Those of you who were sitting thinking that Kevin Durant was going to be in a Rockets uniform by the end of the week, I was like, yeah, but that's why they made the trade. Now on to Reed Sheppard. This is the general manager, Rafael Stone, talking about Reed Sheppard's strength.
He makes the easy play easy. He sees the court really well. His decision making, his processing is really quick. Even as I think it's one of the reasons he shoots so well, because the game comes easy to him and he knows whether he's going to shoot early enough to be ready to shoot. His shot preparation's like truly astoundingly good. So yeah, that's what we saw. And then defensively, a lot of stuff. He baits guys on defense. He picks up cheap steals. He can almost cheat the game a little bit through anticipation. And again, he's a really good athlete, so he doesn't have to just rely on his anticipation. He's able to couple it with some, with some athleticism.
So today we get a chance to meet Reed Sheppard. As soon as I'm done with the show, I'll head over to the Toyota Center, because we'll get a chance to meet him and talk with him. So he is the newest member of the Houston Rockets, and they are excited about it. He adds something to this team that, while Stone may not say, oh, it was a really big void for us, those of us who watched this team, it was a void. So how does Reed fit in with this offense, right? He's a guard. He's not really that big. Another young guy coming in, but he's a 3rd overall pick. How exactly does he fit in with this team? Here's Sheppard. Here is Stone answering that question.
I think he's a good fit with Alperen. He's a good fit with the men. He's a good fit with Fred and Jalen. But mainly because I think he's a talented basketball player, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And I do think that one nice thing for us is, to the extent Reed is obviously not big, but we as a team, we do have a lot of length and everything else. And he's pretty physical. So I do think it's a nice fit for us, both offensively and defensively. And over the course of time, no one is expecting Reed to come in and play 40 minutes a game to start with. That would not be fair.
So just to give you a little perspective about Reed Sheppard, he is the 6'3", 178. He averaged about 29 minutes a game. He shot just under 54% from the field, and he shot about 52% from 3. He's thought of as one of the best shooters in the draft. So when he talked about his strengths and the things he can do, shooting is clearly one of those strengths in one of his areas. So here's the other question, will he, play in the G League? Does he start up with the Rockets? What do you think the plan is for that? And one of the things that Stone said is that's up to Ime. Like, his job is to make the move. Of course, he does it in communication with the head coach, Ime Udoka. But in terms of what that looks like once they get into, summer league, training camp, and once the season starts, here is Stone talking about his thoughts about the G League. He's a fan. I'll say that.
That's going to be 100% up to Ime, but I love the G League. I think playing basketball is playing basketball. And if it makes sense for him to play in the G League, he plays in the G League. If he beats people out, he plays in the NBA. That's great too. But I think I like the G League is so much better than college basketball. It absolutely is an important part of our developmental program for all our players. And I do not care where you're drafted.
So what does that mean? I expect that he will spend some time in the G League. The most players have, like he said, and it's what you do there. Think about it. I mean, Thompson spent some time in the G League last year. Um, Cam Whitmore spent some time in the G League. It just gives you, especially because the Rockets do have talent, right? And one of the things that's going to be helpful also for Reed Shepherd, and he even mentioned it, is playing with a guy like Fred Van Fleet, what he can learn from a guy like Fred, that level of being a veteran. The Rockets re-signed Aaron Holiday, the guard that came in and played a lot off the bench. He was one of their best shooters off the bench, right? He came in and helped people when there were injuries. He was quite a key factor to what a very reliable player for this Rockets team. So they have re-signed him, and it's going to be interesting. It'll be interesting, and looking forward to seeing what that looks like. Meeting Reed Shepherd. People talk about basketball IQ. They say he is as high. It would make sense. His mother played competitively at a high level. His father played competitively, played in the league. I mean, he's been around basketball, right? That's what he knows. And he played in Kentucky. He played one season. And so I expect that he will spend some time in the G League, but that's not a bad word. It's not a bad word. How much time he spends there will depend on how he competes and performs. So in keeping with basketball a little bit more, I want to talk a little bit about, so last week in the draft, day 2, the Los Angeles Lakers had the 55th pick in the second round, and they selected Bronny James, LeBron James's son. And I was really kind of shocked at the, I don't know, outcry, backlash, complaining, with people saying, "Oh my gosh, it's nepotism that the Lakers took Bronny James." Really? Like, are we now complaining that the guy who has meant so much to the NBA may have had something to do with his son getting a shot to be the 55th pick on day 2 of the draft? Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get the complaints. Do you know how many of those picks, when you start talking about second round, the 55th pick, a lot of those are guys that you don't see for years. They're either playing in Europe, and so they continue to play and develop, but when they come to the NBA, that team retains their rights, or they spend a lot of time in the G League. I expect that Bronny will spend some time there as well, you heard Rafael Stone talking about how it's better than college in terms of developing players. But what is so awful about that? That pick was not going to make or break the Lakers. It will be interesting to see how it works, but LeBron James has meant so much to this game and done so many things the right way. I'm not putting wings on him. I don't know him personally. I've just covered the league that he's a part of for years. Yeah, I don't see the problem. I don't see the problem at all. Good for him, and congratulations to Bronny, who gets a shot. The pressure's on him, and he's handled it. LeBron has handled it. He's handled pressure since he got into the league as a player coming straight out of college with all these expectations, and he has handled it, I think, really, really well. So I thought that was really interesting. In terms of free agency, there have been some moves or some things that are happening. Those deals can be made official this weekend. Paul George is leaving the West. He's leaving the Clippers. He is going to be a 76er. What does that mean? Well, it means the Clippers lost a big piece, and it means that the Sixers got a player that could really, really help them to compete in the East against the Celtics. I say compete in the East against the Celtics because clearly the Celtics are the best team still. They're the team to beat. They extended Jason Tatum on yesterday, giving him a max. He is now the highest paid player in basketball. I think the deal is 5 years, $314 million, which surpasses the deal that was last season that they gave to Jaylen Brown. I think his was $304 million. So they are making the investment, saying we're here for it. And oh, by the way, they're also they're for sale. So if you don't really, like the way that the Celtics are doing things and you think you could do better, put a bid in, buy the team. It's on the market. Man, you just gotta love the NBA. So there are some moves being made. There's some moves last week before the draft, and we are free agency is underway. We'll see what other moves are made and what happens. It looks like Klay Thompson may not be going back to the Golden State Warriors. So what the West looks like, it's still tough, right? It's still a tougher place to get out of, but some teams in the West ahead of the Rockets, may not have gotten better. The Rockets were in the 11th spot last year. Golden State was at 10. They didn't get better. The Lakers probably stayed about the same. I think the team, you could say maybe the Pelicans, may have gotten better. The Sun, not really sure. That has proven to be somewhat of a disaster in terms of what they're doing. The Mavericks won the NBA Finals. You got to give them credit, right? I expect the Mavericks to be better. I expect for, their big guy to be better, in better shape, and a little better defensively. So the West is the West. OKC is, you got to pay attention to OKC and Minnesota. But I think, somebody asked me last week, I said it's way too early because I don't know that this Rockets roster is done yet. But let's just say it is. What kind of expectations are there? Now, when we go and talk with Rockets brass today, and Rafael Stone, and maybe Tillman will be there, I'm not sure. Ime Udoka, no one's going to talk. They don't like to quantify anything. Now, Ime makes it very clear he wants to be in the playoffs. He said it at the end of the season. I'm not used to not being in the playoffs. That's just not what I do. So, yeah, I told our guys, let's make this the last time that when the regular season ends, we're not still playing. So clearly, it's playoff for him. So is it to get in the play-in? Is that a realistic expectation for fans? I'm not talking about the team. Is it to get, the 6th spot and, have or should they, or is it thought that they could be as good as a 4 and actually have home court in the first round? I don't know what it is, but I do think that this team is got to be in the playoffs. They were so close last year, and had it not been for that bad stretch they had, they're right there. So it's that time, guys. It is that time. Let's see. Hey, good morning, my friend. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Speaking of I Love Jinka, there is one of the founders of it, Kim Edwards Williams, who I showed you the clip earlier about what I Love Jinka does for you. And so thank you, my friend, for being a part of the show. It is always exciting to have you in the room. And so I want to shift gears a little bit now and talk about the Olympics, right? Y'all, it's time for the Summer Olympics. It's almost time. We're a few weeks away from Paris. Well, from the Olympics starting. Last weekend, the Olympic trials in track and field, and of course in gymnastics. Simone Biles, we're just going to call her a Houstonian, right? She lives in Spring, or grew up in Spring. So we claim her. She's a Houstonian. Has made her way back to get back to the Olympics, right? She pulled out, she withdrew from Tokyo. She talked about some mental illness. She's worked really hard on that. She gave herself a break to decide, do I want to get back to being competitive? She's 27 years old, and by Olympic gymnast standards, that's old. Not too old, but she's the oldest, I think. And there's an interview I'm going to let you hear a clip from that talks about it. But Simone Biles, talk about perseverance, putting in the work, and wanting something and being willing to go get it, right? Putting in the work to get where you want to be, to do what it takes to take that step. If that's not a recipe for whatever it is you're doing in life, we're not just talking about gymnastics, whatever that is, I think Simone Biles has been a great example of it. Now, she, of course, finished first in the trial, so she gets an automatic spot on the team. There are 5 women that will go to Paris to represent the United States in the Olympics on the gymnastics team. And Biles, of course, is one of those people. Here is Simone Biles doing an interview from the trials in Minnesota over the weekend. I want to show that. All right, so let me get back to, here we go.
Let's start with the highlight, the vault. I know you probably get tired of us asking about it over and over again, but people need to know how incredible it is. What part of that is it? Is it the entry? What part of it do you have to focus on the most?
I think throughout the whole entire vault, I have to think about a good, slow, steady run, a good round off with my chest in. And then from there, I just have to think about not blasting it to outer space. And I kind of did that today, but I remembered to open, which usually if I were in the gym, I'd probably over rotate. But I'm just happy that I still had a little bit more adrenaline and energy than I wanted to, but I could still successfully land it.
The tension for Olympic trials is just different. How would you describe what it's like competing out here to people?
It's stressful. It's heavy. I feel like a lot of us have like cotton mouth because we're so stressed out. But, you know, it's one of the best pressure situations to be in going into the Olympics, because I feel like if we can do this, then we can do anything.
One more day. What's one thing you maybe want to tweak for day 2?
Oh my gosh, beam. I'm so upset about beam. I'm really disappointed in myself because that's not how I train. And so going forward, I'm going to try to compete how I train on that event because I know I'm good at it. I know I can do better. So that's what I'm going to work on.
So that was Simone Biles. There was actually another interview I wanted to show that she talked to her about. This is it. I want to show this one. I think it is, hang on a second. She actually talks about some of her challenges, and I wanted to play this interview because I think it really does. Here we go.
So much has happened since Tokyo, but what led you back to this point, back to another Olympics?
Yeah, being in a good mental spot, seeing my therapist every Thursday, it's kind of religious for me. So that's why I'm here today.
It's hard not to come back to when you have all these people cheering you on. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but at 27 years old, you are the oldest female American gymnast since the 1950s to head to the Olympics. How did you know that you had more to give this sport?
Yeah, I knew I wasn't done after the performances in Tokyo. So just getting back in the gym and working hard and trusting the process with Cecile and Laurent, I knew I'd be back.
I watched you this entire weekend, and you were cheering everybody on. You were instructing Jade, no matter who makes this team. Why is it important for you to be a mentor and a leader?
Because I've been in their exact same spot, so I know exactly how they're feeling. And if I can be a mentor and a guide, then that's what I'm going to do to kind of lighten load.
So that is Simone Biles. You see why they call her the GOAT, right? You see why they call her the GOAT. She is, like she said, listen, I see my therapist every Thursday. It's what I do. It's why I'm back here, because I've been able to navigate, manage, and handle those feelings that made her pull out of Tokyo. You know, that's me saying it. That's how I paraphrase it. But, you know, one of the things that's happened in Simone Biles' life is she's gotten married. Her husband, Jonathan Owens, when they got married, was when they got engaged, he was a Houston Texan. Last year, he played with the Green Bay Packers. He is going to play with the Chicago Bears. And so he has, you know, been able to be there for a lot of this journey with her. He talked about it. She talks about it. She was asked about it, and she just said, with their schedules being different, and it's really kind of cool that they are able. Let me add this. Here we go.
I think it's super exciting that we get to be in each other's elements and supporting each other's dreams and goals. And yeah, I mean, it's these memories that we make that we'll never get back. So anytime we can show up for one another and support, we just get super excited because our schedules don't align that much. So whenever it does, it's really important for the both of us to show up and support.
Will he get to watch you in Paris at all?
Yes, the Bears are actually granting him a couple days off from training camp, so he'll be there, yes. I think it's super exciting that we get to.
How about that? great job to the Chicago Bears, giving him a few days off. He's a veteran. He's been around for a minute, and to be able to spend this time with his wife, it comes once every 4 years. You heard the reporter say you're the oldest American gymnast, female gymnast, to complete in the Olympics since the 50s, right? So in 4 years, she'll be 31. Chances are, I would imagine this may be it for her. So it's awesome that he's able to spend that with her. The Olympics there's so many storylines. It's so exciting. Um, and I'll post it on my social. I won't show it here, but SZA, the musical artist, is a huge Simone Biles fan and was a gymnast. She used to be a gymnast when she was growing up. So she went to meet Simone. They both were super excited to meet each other. SZA was like, "Oh my God, this is what I've always wanted to do." And so the clip of them talking with each other, and then them doing a little backflip off the beam together, and doing a walking handstand was really, really kind of cool. It was good to see that. So congratulations to Simone Biles. And okay, I don't know what that is. Hey, good morning. Good morning to my sisters that are tuning in. Good morning. Hello, hello. Okay, I don't know what that person is, but we don't do the whatever that is. Hey, Tony, he says, "I'm late. I'll have to watch the replay." However, he said, "However, is John always so secure enough in his position to make the roster?" I think he is, Tony. Hey, and it's always good to have you here. I know the last time you were here, you didn't have your headphones, so you were like not able to really hear. But I think he is secure in his spot. I think the way he led the Packers a few times in tackles last year, and I just think he's made a way. He's made a good enough name for himself at what he does to be able to get that be granted those few days off. Now he won't be gone that long, and he's been there for the off-season program, so he's obviously put himself in a position to where he's not in jeopardy of not making the team. I don't think he would take that risk. I don't think Simone would want him to take that risk, but to be able to do this, you could say maybe he's kind of a fringe player, but I think he's a fringe player that those few days may not make a difference, in terms of his ability to make the team. And he's got to feel somewhat secure in whatever the conversations have been with his role and the Bears to even, ask for the time, I think. But that's just me. I have no idea. But those are great, great points about Jonathan Owens and whether he is taking a risk by going to Paris for a few days. And like she said, a few days off. He won't be there the whole time she's in Paris, but to be there a few days and be able to, see her compete, which, she'll be there longer. I think those are those decisions we make in life, right? About what's important, what do we do? So yeah, I think it's a matter of him, talking with the brass there, getting a good feel. And hopefully they're being honest with him. That's all you listen. We know this football business is a game. And so maybe they feel like, dude, we like you. You're in terms of your role. Now, does he have a chance to increase his role? I mean, be in the camp the whole time. But you think about guys who miss a few days because they're injured or for whatever the reasons are. I don't think 2 or 3 days in camp are really going to hurt him. So, and the Bears, much like I believe the Texans, who are starting camp early, right? The Texans start camp on July the 18th, which is early for them. It's at least a week earlier than they usually start because they're playing in a Hall of Fame game and they're playing the Bears. So the Bears are probably starting earlier. So they're getting a longer training camp. And that may be one of the reasons too, because they're starting so early, if you will, getting extra time in camp, that those few days may not be as detrimental. So, hey, listen, we will see. But great question, Tony. Great question. Always super, super excited to have you in the room. So listen, while we can talk about the Olympics, being on the way, there were Of course, we talked last week about Sha'Carri Richardson making the team. There's a 16-year-old, his name escapes me right now, who didn't make it in the 100 meters, but he did make it as going on a relay team. And he was super excited. He said, listen, I'm competing as a 16-year-old. And I wish I had, made it in his individual race, but now he is actually getting to go as a part of the relay team. So super exciting for him. There's is it Alaysha Johnson from Spring, who had her best in 100 meter hurdles. She finished second. She's going to the Olympics. There's a couple of pole vaulters from the Houston area that have qualified for the Olympics, have made the team. They're going to be in Paris. There's always a lot of people represented from the Houston area because, we do things up here in Texas, right? And more specifically in Houston. So I'm excited about the Olympics. It comes once a year, and once every 4 years, and it's just super, super exciting. The other thing that's happening right now is Wimbledon. Y'all know I got a place for tennis, right? So Wimbledon championships started on yesterday. Coco Gauff won her first round match easily. She is the number 2 player in the world. She was elevated to number 2 in the rankings during Paris, right? Because it's the rankings are based on a point system. So although she didn't win Paris, she reached the number 2 spot. It's like the middle of the week when the rankings come out. So she is the number 2 player in the world, and she is playing Wimbledon for the first time as the number 2 player in the world. So I'll be watching Coco Gauff. The matches come on at like 6 a.m. here, and to see how she does. Naomi Osaka is there, looks good, healthy. Remember in Paris, although Naomi lost in the first round to the number 1 player in the world, it took 3 sets. She was right there, right? She looked like the Naomi that we saw win the U.S. Open several years ago. So I'm excited about seeing some of these matches at Wimbledon. And, sometimes it's a little slower in the summer in terms of sports, but we've got the Houston Astros, who are keeping it interesting. Obviously, they should probably be reigniting some people's interest in what they're doing. You've got training camp with the Texans starting in about a little bit more than 2 weeks. There's the NBA and the Rockets getting ready to go make this run after they had a big jump last season. So they're getting ready to, put their team together for summer league, and then they'll come back and have some time before you know it. You'll be talking about training camp in October, into September, October. And of course, the Olympics, right? And those are just the big things that are happening. There are lots of other things that are going on, but in terms of the sports world, those are the big things that are happening, and I'm excited about it. Listen, a couple of things. I mentioned that Reed Shepherd is the Rockets, that was their selection in the draft, the 3rd overall pick. I'll let you hear from Rafael Stone talking about Reed earlier in this show. But Reed Shepherd is in town today. So when I finish the show today, I'll be headed over to Toyota Center, get a chance to meet Reed Shepherd, interview him, and hear from him as his foray into the NBA gets started. He played 1 year at Kentucky, and as I mentioned, he comes from a basketball family. Both his mother and father competed at really, really high levels. So if you talk about basketball IQ, which is a thing people like to say a lot, you could say he has it. One of the things we have not talked about much here, because there's been so much going on, is the fact that the Lakers made a selection to hire a new coach recently, and that was JJ Redick, a guy that has no coaching experience. I will say, out of fairness to him, he is not the first. When Jason Kidd got his first job, I don't think he had any coaching experience. Doc Rivers didn't have any head coach experience. And there have been about 6 coaches that have gone on to the NBA that did not have any experience. So I don't really have a beef with that as much. But here's where I struggle. Why can't Sam Cassell get a job? Why can't Sam Cassell be seriously considered for a job? He's won multiple championships as a player and as an assistant coach. He's an assistant coach on that Celtics team. He's respected. And so, it's about relationships and who you know, and so people talk about like a JJ Redick and his relationship with LeBron because they do a podcast together. Not sure the Lakers job is the job you want because they go through coaches like a lot, right? There's not a lot of longevity in recent years with Lakers coaches, but there should be an opportunity for Sam Cassell as a head coach in the NBA. I'm going to keep bringing it up. I think he's earned the chance, earned the right, but here's where it goes. It's not always about talent or experience. Trust me, I know, right? It's not always about that. And so good for Sam Cassell for continuing to work in the field that he loves. He's getting the coach, and I'm sure he would like to be a head coach, but he has been a coach and he's making a difference and he's got another ring. So congratulations to my friend Sam Cassell. I am hopeful that he still gets an opportunity to be a head coach in this league. And before we get out of here, I want to remind you, I mentioned to you about I Love Jinka. I have another spot that I want to show. And I mentioned, I don't know, a couple months ago about Kim and LJ Williams going to be on the Porsche show in Atlanta. And so here is a clip from that show that I want, where you get a chance to actually meet Kim and LJ in the spots that we usually play. You meet LJ and you meet their daughter Ray. Here's a chance for you to get to meet them both.
But when we get these calls and emails saying, I've been using your product for 3 years and it's changing my life, it's amazing.
Do you ever just look at each other and say, oh my gosh?
All the time. All the time.
What an amazing feeling.
When we get emails saying I'm off of 20 meds, and those are just priceless moments. So we're grateful to be using.
And just to be clear, it's a paste that can go in smoothies. It can go in coffee,
you can use
tea.
as a topical. Yeah, we have a guy that had a.
Wait, literally like this,
right.
And I'm putting it in my smoothie.
Right.
Yes. Okay then. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very
But it's yummy and
indeed.
Vanilla almond milk, oatmeal yogurt smoothies. We have capsules, and then we have a soap because a lot of people are dealing with eczema and chicken skin and things like that.
So you continue to grow. Beautiful
Yes,
lessons for all of us. Thank you so much, Kim and Lindbergh Williams. Quickly tell folks where they can find what's your Instagram?
ILoveJinka.com.
That's easy.
I love Jinka everywhere else.
And I love your story. Thank you so much for sharing it. A lot of lessons learned there, but the lessons don't stop here.
Those are the founders, Kim and LJ Williams. And so I like to always celebrate what they're doing. And if you haven't checked out I Love Jinka, to ask you to clearly, what are you talking about, Kevin Walker? Clearly it's not. You're not on a major network, because I'm sure they could make it worth your while. I think I missed it. What do you mean, Kevin Walker? Sylvia Sims says, I love Jinka. Yeah, I Love Jinka is great. In fact, I've got to replenish my I Love Jinka. I need to get a couple more bottles. I like to take the capsules daily because it keeps you from having to take any leave or any of those things. I've started back lifting a little, and it makes a difference. And I don't have a problem sleeping, but I sleep so much better when I'm taking I Love Jinka. So I need to definitely get that. Hey, Kevin, tell me what you meant about that. I must have said something and that's your response. I'm not sure which thing it is. So clearly it's not. You're not on a major network, because I'm sure they could make it worth your while. Oh, it's not about talent. Okay. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. That's what happens when you're not on, you're not a part of the show for a while. I forget, kind of your cadence when you're saying things. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. And for those of you, Kevin Walker's kind of follows us from time to time, but Kevin is the brother of my dear, dear friend, departed friend. You guys saw him on the show from time to time, Craig Shelton. And it's interesting because he's been on my mind a lot lately, and I think about him all the time. He really was one of my best friends, and really was my brother. Craig Shelton, and the other guy was Max Edison. And so these people that, make sure you're kind to the people that you know and love, and tell them you love them so they know, because nothing is promised. And I said this to you guys on the show maybe a couple of weeks ago. One of the guys that's been you've seen him on. I called him my legal expert. He's always commenting and engaging with us on the show. Charles Lamar Drayton, an attorney who unfortunately passed away. His memorial service was this past weekend. So listen, good people are leaving here every day. So I digress, but I just want to say that. And Sylvia, of course, is saying hello to Kevin. But thank you guys all for being a part of the show. As always, follow me across all of my social media platforms. I'll be going over talking with the Rockets' new guard, Reed Shepherd. This afternoon, we get a chance to meet him shortly. I'm headed there in a few moments. And a couple other things we're working on. So remember, let me hear from you. If there's something you'd like to see on the show, you say, you know what, Kim, I'm interested in this, or I'm interested in this person. Drop me a note. Wherever you're watching the show, you can send me a direct message or inbox me. I will respond and let me know what's on your mind. Also, make sure you're following me across my platforms. On Instagram, it's Kim Y. Davis Media. And on Twitter, it's Kim Y. Davis. It's Kim Y. Davis because obviously Kim Davis is so common. So I am not common, but my name is. So Kevin says, maybe I should stop commenting and interacting. I want to be here. I'm just saying. I'm so glad that you're here. And when are you going to join me on the show? That's what we got to work on. We got to work on getting you on the show. I think we've talked about that. So I'm going to call you because I think we could have great conversation. We probably won't agree on a lot, which makes it really great. But I know that you know a lot of stuff, and like your brother would be able to present your position quite convincingly. So, all right, Kevin Walker and everybody else, thank you guys. Remember, check out I Love Jinka. Go to ilovejinka.com. You can also check it out if you're in Texas. You can get it at HEB. You need it in your life. You want it in your life. It's something that's healthy and great, and it does a lot of stuff. But if you go to ilovejinka.com, you'll see all of the different kinds of uses there are for it, right? And I encourage you to check it out. Remember, if you are not registered to vote, get registered. All right, get registered to vote. Pay attention to policies and the people so that you can make a great informed decision about how you cast your vote. It's important for you to vote your values. It's not for me to tell you what your values are, but it is for me to be a constant reminder that you must register to vote and engage. And I'm going to say this before I leave. People talk about the state of Texas, it not mattering because the state of Texas is red. It is only red because more people don't vote. We bought into the fact that, oh, well, it doesn't matter, it's a red state. There are more people who look like me in the state of Texas than of any other state of the union. There are more Black people in Texas. I'm just saying. Now, the way that the lines are gerrymandered, we don't have as much power in terms of voting. We need a strategy. If you want to change things in the state, you don't like what's happening with HISD, that's about voting. That's about making some changes at the state level. If you don't like what's happening in your city, if you're in a district and you're like, my council member's not really doing anything, you can vote those people out and get people in that will work for you. I'm just saying, we're not helpless and hopeless, so make sure that you vote. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate you. You're the greatest. Anything for you. Oh, look at you being all nice on this Tuesday afternoon. I'm going to take you up on it. All right, everybody. That is it from me today. We're out of time. Remember, register to vote. Check out I Love Jinka and do something kind for yourself and something kind for somebody else. Make it a great week. Peace.